For some reason, in the late 70s and early 80s, the people who published Batman comics in Sweden decided that the original covers weren't good enough anymore. So they decided to make their own covers, often painted covers too. I have no real clue why they did this or who the artists for these covers were. I don't even know if they were made in Sweden or if perhaps they were used somewhere else too. I've never seen them used for an American comic book though. Needless to say, they do remain a bit of a mystery. Some of them were actually pretty good. Others were just weird. And some were pure crap. Like, look at this. Who thought this was a good cover? Do excuse the poor image quality, by the way. Finding good scans of these on the internet is pretty impossible after all. Anyway, in this video I'm gonna rank my 5 favorites of these weird Swedish Batman covers. So, let's get into it. Number 5. Number 2 from 1981. Do keep in mind that in Sweden the numbering restarts every year. Anyway, here we have Batman, or Läderlappen as he was called here, kneeling by the graves of his parents. A very moody image. The 1951 to 1981 means how long Batman had been published in Sweden. Ironically, the comic was cancelled the very next year. It then ran as a backup in Superman's comic, until briefly being revived in 1987, and then again in 1989. This issue contained one of the parts from the Untold Legend of Batman, the first Batman miniseries. The text on the bottom of the cover, Hotet från det okända, means threat from the unknown. It obviously refers to the unknown enemy who's targeting Batman in the story. It's a very nice image, in my opinion. I like the dark coloring, the perspective, Batman's angry expression. A very grim looking cover. Number 4, number 10 from 1980. This issue contained the second part of the original Preston Payne two-parter, Clayface 3. As you can see in the bottom foreground, there's Preston, grabbing for someone with his gross melty hand. No doubt trying to turn some hapless victim into a pool of mush. In the background we got Batman crouching in typical Batman fashion on a rooftop. He seems to be looking for someone, or something, maybe Preston, but he clearly hasn't spotted him yet. And it may be too late before he does. I love how huge Batman's cape is and how it's flowing in the wind. It looks very stylized, very much in style with how later artists would draw it, like Norm Breyfogle and Todd McFarlane. In other words, this is a very early example of Batman's cape being stylized. I really like the red sky too, and naturally Preston looks really creepy with his freaky mug. This cover kinda looks like the poster to a horror movie. Number 3 from 1979. This issue features the Penguin two-parter from 1977, both parts. As you can see, it's a sort of recreation of both of those covers. Honestly, I think it looks better than both of them. It looks more dynamic, and the art style is better. Again, no clue who actually made it. I like the giant bird, a falcon maybe, grabbing Batman with its giant talons. Batman looks really good, fighting for his life, pissed as usual. He ain't liking none of this. And Oswald himself looks really great, sitting there on the bird, all smug looking. It's a very nice, classic penguin design. He looks really short too. I mean, this penguin is clearly a dwarf. And why not? I like my penguins short and round. And this guy's got a belly too. I love his silly tiny umbrella too. The orange clouds in the background is really nice as well. Just an awesome penguin cover. I guess I might even include it in my very favorite penguin covers overall. Maybe not in the top 5, but at least top 10. Number 2, number 13 from 1978. This one contains a Catwoman story from 1974. Catwoman's very first Bronze Age story, to be specific. This one is also a sort of recreation of the original cover. Sort of. They clearly changed a few things, but it's fairly similar. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this Catwoman costume. It's the one she wore very briefly in the late 60s to mid 70s. It's not the worst Catwoman costume by any means, but it's far from the best. Still, on this cover, I think it looks pretty good. Better than usual. It's some really cool imagery we've got here. Catwoman's got Batman tied up with her whip, about to feed him to a tiger. That's a cool image. I like how Batman's drawn, or painted, or whatever this is. He looks pissed as usual, instead of scared. Swedish Batman was never scared. He only got pissed when people tried to kill him. I love the purple background too, it looks really nice. And now for my favorite Swedish Batman cover. Number 1 from 1981. I don't even remember what story this issue contained. It's not a Joker story though, despite the clown. It's just some random clown. I love this cover. Batman is beating up a random clown. I bet it's not even a criminal, it's just some innocent clown at a circus. As soon as Batman sees clowns, he has to beat them up after all. The guy pointing the gun is probably a cop, pleading to Batman to stop beating up the innocent clown. In all seriousness though, this is a really cool image. Batman looks badass, again pissed as always, having pummeled this clown into submission. Clowns are a really nice visual, especially when they're getting beaten up. Yeah, it's just a nice, eye-catching cover. My favorite Swedish Batman cover. I don't know what else there is to say about it. And there you have it, my 5 favorite Swedish Batman covers, if they even are Swedish. I'm assuming they are, as I've only ever seen them used for Swedish Batman comics. In general, I naturally prefer the original American covers, but I do have to admit I like some of these weird Swedish ones. Oh, and here's a bonus. Number 12 from 1980, Christmas in Gotham City, is what it says on the bottom. A Santa Claus robbing a jewelry store. Fantastic. The only reason I didn't include this one on the list is because Batman looks oddly small on it. It looks more like Robin cosplaying as Batman. Anyway, as always, remember, Arkham Asylum awaits you in the next video. I like how Batman... Fucking birds. Will you shut up, you goddamn birds?